artist in the world, Billie Eilish.
Best New Artist, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, Pop Vocal Album, Producer of the Year.
My name is Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Please welcome Billie Eilish.
Before she could even drive a car, Billie Eilish was a global superstar. A song she recorded with her brother in a bedroom just for a dance recital accidentally changed the course of her life forever. It spread online, and overnight, Billie went from a homeschooled teenager to one of the most watched, most dissected, and most pressured artists of a generation. But behind the viral fame and the record deals, Billie was battling something few people understood: a constant, exhausting struggle with her own body and mind. While the world projected their expectations onto her about who she should be, how she should look, and what she should say, she fought to protect the parts of herself that no one could see. This is not just a story about success. It's about what happens when a teenager becomes the face of a generation before she's even figured out who she is. It's a story about fame, mental health, and the hidden cost of living your dreams under a microscope. This is the real story of Billie Eilish and the dark side of growing up famous. In 2015, a teenage girl sat on the floor of a dance studio, stretching before her rehearsal. Her teacher needed an original song for a routine, so the girl turned to her brother for help because he was into making music. They recorded something simple just for this one performance, but instead of keeping it to themselves, they uploaded it to SoundCloud, assuming it would stay within their small circle. So when people started finding it, listening to it, and sharing it, it was unexpected, but it didn't stop there. The song spread fast, passed around until what started in a bedroom became something much, much bigger. Within months, Billie Eilish was no longer just another kid making music at home. Quickly, she was forced to navigate a world where she was being judged every day, her music dissected, and expectations formed around her before she even had a chance to define herself. So, what happens when success arrives before adulthood? When the world decides who you are before you do? To understand that and the career she's built, we have to go back to where it all started. Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell was born 10 days before Christmas in 2001, earlier than expected. With her dark hair and a younger sister to Phineas, she came into the world a miracle IVF baby. Her middle name Pirate was something her brother insisted on. He wanted to name his baby sister after his favorite thing, but their uncle thought it was too ridiculous. In the end, Billie was named after her grandfather William, or Bill.
Bill. Okay, so my real name is William. I was named after my grandfather who died right before I was born, whose name was William. And William is Billie, and then there's also Bill.
From the start, Billie was always drawn to music and dance. She spent hours dressing up and playing on a secondhand piano her parents, Maggie and Patrick, had found in a junk shop. Her parents were both musicians and writers, so creativity wasn't just encouraged in their house, it was part of everything they did. The rule in that home was simple. As long as you were playing an instrument, you didn't have to go to bed on time. Billie was messy, unpredictable, full of personality, and her parents embraced it. They gave her the freedom to explore art without boundaries. Billie was homeschooled, so she didn't have the structure of a traditional school, but that gave her more time to dive into performance. Whether it was a talent show or karaoke night, she was there, ready to perform. Meanwhile, Phineas was already writing and producing music. Instead of keeping his music separate, he brought Billie in. Together, they started experimenting with recording in their bedroom. There was no grand plan to become famous. They were just making music because they loved it. Her childhood was full of family trips, ice skating with friends, and an obsession with Justin Bieber. She'd blog about him, remix his songs, and make fan edits. One time, she thought she saw him at the mall and got so overwhelmed that she fainted. At 13, Billie started playing around with her appearance. She dyed her hair white because she loved the idea of standing out. But keeping the color was tricky, and she quickly realized that experimenting with her look would always be a work in progress. Billie hadn't always dreamed of being a singer. She thought she'd end up as a backup dancer. But one summer at camp, her teammates convinced her to sing. Nervous but determined, she took the stage and performed for the first time. Her voice shook, but she made it through, and that performance changed everything. After that, Billie and Phineas got more serious about writing and performing together. But most venues they wanted to play at were 18 plus, so they spent a lot of time sitting outside on the curb, waiting for their set, hands marked with giant X's to show they were too young to drink alcohol. They weren't famous yet, but every moment and every decision was leading them somewhere bigger. By August 2016, Billie was only 14 when she signed her first record deal. In November, her song Ocean Eyes, written with Phineas for that dance recital, got its own music video. But it was when she turned 16 that everything really started to shift. Her first headlining tour kicked off in October 2017 in Santa Ana. The tour supporting her debut EP, Don't Smile at Me, was crazy. Billie performed tracks like Copycat, Watch, and of course Ocean Eyes. She even threw in a cover of Drake's Hotline Bling, showing off her versatility and fresh energy. Next came the Where's My Mind tour, her first global headlining run. Fans traveled from all over to see her perform. Her shows weren't just concerts, they were like stepping inside her mind. Dark, dreamy, a little eerie, and so reflective of Billie. But while the spotlight was growing brighter, something else was going on behind the scenes. Fans had started noticing small things, head movements, blinking fits, and little muscle jerks that didn't seem random. YouTube videos began popping up, analyzing it, guessing what it could be. Most people brushed it off, but some were more curious. Then came Lovely, her collaboration with Khalid, released in 2018. It found a place on the 13 Reasons Why movie soundtrack and quickly became a favorite. But for Billie, it was a deeply personal song. Not long after, she opened up about something she'd kept quiet for a while. Billie revealed she had Tourette's syndrome. There was no big PR push, no dramatic interview. She simply explained it on Instagram. I've had it forever. Her tics were physical, blinking, head jerking, jaw clenching, and they came in waves. Not super noticeable unless you're really paying attention, said Billie, but they've gotten a lot better as I've gotten older. It wasn't always easy for her though. In interviews, she admitted how exhausting it could be, especially when people mimicked her or thought she was doing it for attention. The internet hasn't always been nice about it, she said in an interview with David Letterman. People would laugh at her when she did her tics, which she found hurtful.
Most common way that people react is they laugh because they think I'm like trying to be funny. And I am always left incredibly offended by that.
Sometimes she didn't even notice the tics until someone pointed them out. Still, Billie never let Tourette's define her. It's something I live with, she said. I make the best of it. After opening up, fans with Tourette's reached out to her, thanking her for making them feel seen. And that's what made her story so powerful. She didn't just share her diagnosis, she gave it context. She showed that being different wasn't something to hide. Her vulnerability became her strength. But what would happen when the whole world started watching? In March 2019, Billie released her debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? It was strange, minimal, and offbeat, nothing like what mainstream pop had seen before. It really got people's attention, but it was Bad Guy that really changed everything. A sarcastic, twisted, anti-pop anthem inspired partly by a mechanical rhythmic sound that Billie had once recorded while using the pedestrian crossing in Australia.
And I'll just if I hear an interesting sound, I'll just record it, and then later I'll listen through them and I'll go like, I wonder how I can use that. Yeah. So when you're on a street corner in Australia, when you stand at a street light and you press the button, you hear this rhythmic sound. So we recorded it, and it sounds like this.
You use that for the song Bad Guy?
Yeah, the thing people think are hi-hats and Bad Guy is actually just that.
#1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Billie the first artist born in the 2000s to top the chart at just 17 years old. Still, behind the success, Billie was dealing with a lot. Her Tourette's didn't disappear with fame. In fact, the stress made her symptoms worse. She would smile when she had to, but once the cameras were off, exhaustion and tics would hit her hard. But she stayed real. Billie talked about mental health, her anxiety and depression, not as something to pity, but as something she was living with. Her deadpan interviews, her oversized clothes, the mystery, it wasn't a persona, it was self-protection. I don't want people to know everything about me, she once said. That's why I wear big clothes. Even with the pressure, Billie kept showing up. She was adamant she didn't want to be the poster girl or the face of depression. She stayed true to herself, and the world took notice. In 2020, she swept the Grammys, taking home Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, and Best New Artist. But reaching the top didn't come without a cost because things were about to get tough. At the Grammys, Billie stood on stage, feeling emotional, arms full of awards, the youngest artist ever to dominate the Big Four in a single night. But as the applause filled the room, she looked uneasy. Grateful, yes, but overwhelmed. Something wasn't landing the way people expected it to. She'd reached the peak, and the world assumed she was untouchable. Behind the scenes, Billie was unraveling. The endless tours, interviews, and red carpets started to feel like noise she couldn't turn off. Her tics spiked, she barely slept. She started losing trust in people. Most of all, she started losing herself. But the cameras never stopped. Every outfit became a headline, every facial expression became a meme, and even her silences were dissected. Armor was her oversized clothes, her deadpan stare and her mystery, but all of this once protected her. But now it felt like a costume she couldn't take off. Then came the scrutiny. In 2020, a paparazzi photo of her in a tank top and shorts went viral. It wasn't because of what she was wearing, but because people saw her body in a way they hadn't before. She'd always worn baggy clothes, but with this one image of her in something more fitting, social media exploded with cruel opinions. Despite years of hiding her shape, the world found a way in. Billie responded through art. She released Not My Responsibility, a short spoken word film where she stripped away layers of clothing while speaking about the shame, control, and judgment. The message was simple. You have opinions about my body? It's not yours to have. Her message resonated, but the weight of being a symbol kept growing. She wasn't just a pop star anymore. She was an icon, a voice for Gen Z, a mental health advocate, and still just a teenage girl trying to figure herself out. Something had to change. So Billie pulled back. She did fewer interviews, hung out in tighter circles, and spent less time on the internet. She changed her hair, her tone, her approach. She needed a reset, both creatively and personally. Reinvention came with risks. Would fans accept a different Billie? One who wasn't always hiding behind sarcasm, who maybe wanted to feel more alive? She had to find out. By 2021, Billie Eilish was no longer just a pop star. She had a video and was ready to use it. The release of Happier Than Ever marked a turning point. With it came a more mature and introspective version of Billie. But getting to this point had been far from easy. She wasn't the 17-year-old who had captured the world's attention with Bad Guy and Bury a Friend. So much had happened since then, and she'd gone through a deep personal transformation. When Happier Than Ever dropped in July 2021, it was clear Billie was done with the image people had placed on her. The album was a complete shift, musically and in terms of her public persona. It was raw, vulnerable, and most importantly, it felt like it was hers. She wasn't hiding behind a character anymore. With tracks like Your Power and NDA, Billie addressed the pressures of fame, toxic relationships, and the struggles she dealt with during her teenage years. However, not everyone was ready for this new version of Billie. Fans who had fallen in love with the darker, more moody Billie of 2019 were now facing a new sound, one that was lighter, more complex, more vulnerable, and, as expected, the backlash was quick. The internet doesn't always love change. Some fans embraced the new direction, but others criticized her for stepping away from the style they initially connected with. But Billie had reached a point where she wasn't seeking validation from anyone anymore. With the success of Happier Than Ever, Billie proved she wasn't just the girl people thought she was. What had set her apart in the first place was her ability to be unapologetically herself. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, and critics raved about how she blended vulnerability and strength in ways that few artists had done before. Happier Than Ever became one of the most talked about albums of 2021, resonating with listeners who related to its themes of personal growth, heartbreak, and freedom. Billie's transformation had come full circle. She was finally owning her own spotlight. After wrapping up her Happier Than Ever World Tour, she reflected on how much she'd changed. No longer was she the teenage star just trying to handle the whirlwind of fame. She had grown into an artist who could navigate the complexities of the public eye with a solid understanding of who she was and who she wanted to be. Her growth wasn't just reflected in her music, though. It showed in her approach to mental health as well. Billie had always been open about her struggles with depression and anxiety, but in 2021, she began advocating even more for the importance of therapy and self-care. She encouraged her fans to take care of their mental health and to reject the stigma around seeking help. Despite all the progress she'd made, Billie was still just 19. The weight of fame was still heavy, and the pressures she faced were ones only a few could truly understand. So when she needed to, she took time to recharge, stepping back from the spotlight whenever she felt it was necessary. Unlike before, though, she no longer felt the crushing pressure to be perfect for everyone else. She was a young woman who had finally come into her own and full of self-confidence. But what would Billie Eilish look like beyond this moment? How would she continue to evolve as both an artist and a person? The world would soon find out. By 2023, Billie Eilish had evolved from the teenage prodigy who once dominated the music world with hauntingly raw tracks into a multifaceted artist. The world had watched her grow up in front of its eyes, but Billie was not just growing older, she was becoming more like herself. That year, Billie did something that no one saw coming. She became part of the Barbie movie phenomenon, contributing to the soundtrack with What Was I Made For? This wasn't just another song to add to her growing collection of hits. The song was a reflection of where she was in her journey, a young woman who had navigated fame, self-doubt, and the pressures of being a global star. The haunting melody, paired with Billie's signature vocal style, felt like it was a personal manifesto. She was asking herself the same questions millions of people asked every day. What's my purpose? What was I made for?
I'm just grateful for this song and for this movie and the way that it made me feel. This goes out to everyone who was affected by the movie and how incredible it is.
The release of What Was I Made For seemed like more than a promotional tool for the film. It was a reminder that even at the height of her success, Billie was still figuring it all out. The track resonated with her audience, who saw it as an anthem for those trying to navigate their own confusion and their own struggles. For Billie, this song wasn't just about the Barbie movie. It was a reflection of her ongoing process of self-discovery. But it wasn't just about one song or one project. In 2023, Billie began to shift how she approached both her music and her public persona. Where once she'd seemed almost hidden and enigmatic, only wearing oversized clothes, she now embraced a new level of openness about herself. As she revealed more of her true self, some fans struggled to accept this version. The 2023 Billie Eilish was more complex. She was questioning, evolving, and sometimes just a bit unsure. And yet, as she navigated these personal transformations, she remained as popular as ever. Her ability to stay true to her artistic vision while embracing her growth was what set her apart. In many ways, 2023 marked a turning point. Billie was no longer just a teen star. She was an artist, an advocate, and a voice of a generation grappling with similar questions of identity, of purpose, and mental health. As she continued to evolve, she began to use her platform not just to promote her music, but to speak openly about the struggles many of her fans faced, especially when it came to mental health.
I remember at the beginning, there was all these labels and radio people that wouldn't play me because I was too sad and no one was going to relate to it. That was just funny to me because I was like, everybody has felt sad.
Billie had been vocal about her own battles with anxiety and depression in the past. But in that year, she began advocating even more strongly for therapy and self-care and self-love. But even with all her growth and new projects, one thing remained clear. Billie was still Billie. She wasn't trying to fit into anyone's idea of what a pop star should be. Whether it was through her music, her interviews, or the way she carried herself in the public eye, she was showing us that being yourself, no matter how complicated that might be, was the greatest gift you could give. As the year drew to a close, the question lingered though. What was next for Billie Eilish? What could possibly come after such an extraordinary, unpredictable journey? While the world could never truly know what her future held, one thing was certain: Billie Eilish would continue to change the game, not just for herself, but for the world watching her every move. The impact she had made on the music world was undeniable. She had redefined what it meant to be a young pop star in the 21st century, balancing fame with authenticity in a way that few before her had. But more than that, she was proving that true artistry comes from the willingness to evolve, to question, and to be vulnerable. Billie Eilish's journey was far from over, and the world couldn't wait to see where she'd go next. The evolution of Billie Eilish has been marked by constant reinvention, from the quiet bedroom recordings of Ocean Eyes to the vulnerability of Happier Than Ever, and finally to self-discovery of What Was I Made For. Billie's journey has always been about self-empowerment. She's turned her struggles and insecurities into powerful narratives that connect deeply with her audience, showing that it's okay to be imperfect, to evolve, and to embrace change. There's no telling where Billie will go next. But one thing is certain: she'll keep changing, growing, and embracing her evolution in a way that suits her. The world will continue to watch, to listen, and to be inspired by the raw honesty and the creative spirit that Billie Eilish brings to everything she does.